Hello beautiful people, today we are doing a response video, mainly about Halo, but about like lore for fictional franchises in general, I suppose. Now, straight out of the gate, I do want to make it absolutely clear that this video is going to be a bit different, because like as a whole, this video that I'm going to be responding to, it is very bad, in my opinion. It is not a good video at all. It's very bad. There are no good faith arguments actually made within this video. There's no good points actually made in this video. It's all quite silly, quite stupid, if you ask me. I just do not like this video at all. I've also checked out this guy's channel and watched a few of his other videos, mainly relating to Halo, and I do not really like the way he talks about like the Halo community, because if you'll notice, I think I'm going to go over this later, but you'll notice that like the way he talks about, I guess, people that just think differently from him, that don't like the 343 stuff, you know, he talks about a lot of the people that complain about Halo in a very condescending way, and it's really stupid in my opinion. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of the videos that I've seen on this guy's channel. I do not think he has good arguments, and generally, I would say that this video would be a waste of time, and I would not engage with it whatsoever. But I really wish I found this video sooner, because this would have been a perfect fit in my response to the Halo community, because I think that this shows a lot of the problems that I have run into before online with a lot of the 343 side of the Halo community, a lot of the toxic positivity side of the Halo community. It just really feels like that side of the community. This is where those people keep their mindset at. And not everybody on that side is like this, of course, but a lot of them are. And I think it's not called out as much as it should be. So this video is a perfect opportunity to shed some light on that and, you know, I don't know, not expose it. That's not the purpose of this video, but just show people that toxicity exists on all sides. Obviously, of course, I do not condone any kind of harassment, bullying, whatever. I'm not trying to, you know, sick a community on this guy. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm just trying to tell you why this video is bad and wrong. So, yeah, let's just get on with that, shall we?
This video is going to be most likely be on Halo, but I wanted to bring to the matter that is what video game nerds and lorists and purists take to heart. And the truth of the matter is, nobody cares. Nobody absolutely cares about the lore, okay?
Do you see what I mean when I say, like, the arguments he's making are, it's going to be bad, okay? This is not the only weird thing he says. It's going to get worse from here, I promise you. So first and foremost, he just says nobody actually cares about lore in video games, and he's not just referring to Halo, like, he's talking about the Elder Scrolls and Star Wars as well. So this kind of translates to just not just video games, but lore and fiction as a whole, right? No, that's not true. I care about lore. I care about the lore in my series. Look at your comments. The comments under this video are full of people who care about lore. So let's just really quick. What is lore? What is lore? What exactly is lore? Lore is just a fancy word for story. That's what lore is. Lore is the story. Please tell me, why shouldn't I care about the integrity of the story of a franchise like Halo? Because why is Halo so great? Why is Halo so cool? Or why was it so cool? Because of the story. The story that was told. Sure, the gameplay is fun, you know, the music is fantastic, the designs, the characters, you know, Spartans, Sangheili, all of that is cool. But that would not be shit without the story. The story is what holds all of those awesome aspects together. So telling me that nobody cares about the story of Halo, about the lore of the series, no, that is objectively not true. The lore is the thing that people should care about most. And people do care about the lore most because, again, the lore is just a fancy word for story. That's all the lore is, really. So first point in, objectively incorrect. Let's keep going.
And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because people are still on that stupid, dumb, like, human or foreigners lore take with Marty the lame-o. Yeah, who could ever side with the schizophrenic 60-year-old guy who believes that everything is after him and everything.
Okay, so I never really much cared for Marty O'Donnell as a person. I'm not going to say he's like, you know, the greatest human being ever, but I've always found it weird how people have a hate boner for this guy simply because of his politics. It's really strange. But, like, the fact is that he's not the only person who worked at Bungie who has said that the original intention was for humans to be forerunners. There are multiple developers that have, like, been on record saying these things. He's not the only one. Even if he was the only one, he has far more credibility than you on this topic. He actually worked there. Why are we arguing with the people that actually worked there, that had these jobs telling the story? He wasn't the one telling the story, but he worked closely with people who were telling the story. Why is he not a trustworthy source? I'll get more into the actual Forerunner lore thing and the retcons and whatnot in another video, but until then, I'm not really touching much on it. I'm here to just respond to this guy and this guy alone and whatever weird things he says. So again, let's move on.
But that's besides the point. The point of the matter is video game nerds take lore way too seriously, and it's ridiculous. This is seen throughout every fandom, regardless of what medium you play, video games, movies, music. And I wanted to bring attention to not only Halo, but Star Trek as well, Fallout, Star Wars, The Elder Scrolls. And I want to say to the purists, you're not special, okay? You're not the only ones who have to go through this.
Yet again, why did we fall in love with the franchises we fell in love with? It's because of their story. When you change fundamental parts, fundamental aspects of that story, when you tamper with that story in a way that just makes it worse and more stupid, people aren't going to like that. I'm allowed to care when that kind of thing happens. I'm allowed to care when Disney brings back Palpatine for the last movie of their totally unplanned trilogy and has Rey kill him off, retroactively making her the new chosen one instead of Anakin Skywalker, who it was always meant to be. I'm allowed to be upset about that. I'm allowed to despise that decision and shit talk Disney. And I don't exactly know what you mean by you're not special, you're not the only ones that have to go through this. I have never ever seen a single Bungie Halo fanboy ever claim that they were the only ones to ever go through some kind of controversial retcon. That is a ridiculous statement.
Especially the Halo purists who are still in love with the old Bungie era, and they still can't cope with the fact that their once beloved developers are in shambles.
It's really funny to me. It sounds like he's saying that as if he's trying to rub it in somebody's face, but I don't think many people actually care about that. I have never seen a Bungie Halo fanboy ever say, give Halo back to Bungie. Maybe that's been said. I'm sure there are some people who don't know what Bungie has become now, but most people are like perfectly content with the fact that Bungie is a shell of its former self nowadays, and they've moved on, you know? They know that this is no longer the Bungie that they knew and loved and grew up with when they played the original Halo games. Nowadays, people just say, give Halo to a different studio that'll actually treat it better. I've never seen anybody actually say that, oh, we need to give Halo back to Bungie. I've never seen that. Again, I'm sure that exists out there, but like, the vast majority of people are very likely not saying that kind of stuff. The vast majority of people are simply saying fire 343/Halo Studios and, you know, hopefully get Microsoft out of the picture somehow, or just like overall give Halo to another studio. I don't think many people are actually that concerned about what Bungie is doing right now.
The company is falling in disarray. Sony is gonna breathe down on their neck and probably dismantle them if Marathon doesn't do well. And that's my whole issue, gripes with video game nerds in general, is just how pure they are, how much of a purist they are, how perfectionist they are. It's utterly ridiculous.
God forbid I want my stories to be good and not shit, right, guys? That's horrible. That's ridiculous. Why would you say that? Why would you want that? You know why people are so hard on developers like 343? Do you know why people care so much about the story? Do you know why people are so uptight when shit goes wrong, when things are bad? It's because we care. It's because we love these series. It's because we love Halo. If we didn't like Halo, if we didn't love Halo, we wouldn't give a shit. We wouldn't be talking about this. We wouldn't be complaining about it so much. We complain about it so much because we know Halo can be amazing. It can be great. But it's not. Because right now, it's being handled by a bunch of, like, incompetent fools. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It infuriates people. We could be having so much good shit. We could be eating so good right now, but we aren't. That is why people are so angry about stuff like the lore and retcons and bad storytelling. But God forbid people want to actually consume good media, right?
And I just want to say the fact I say, yeah, I don't care. Like, I really don't care what you have to say. Humans are not forerunner. They are not. You can argue how much they are a forerunner, but that doesn't convince me to believe that they're a forerunner.
Why do I need to care about convincing you? Why? Why do I need to care about convincing you that humans are or are not forerunner? Doesn't even matter. Why does your opinion matter so much about this? Why? What is the reason? Why? I don't think anybody is really concerned about convincing you specifically. I mean, you're not an important figure in the community. You have a YouTube channel, I guess, but that doesn't make you an important figure. I mean, you don't have a big YouTube channel either, really. You've got, like, the last time I checked, 1,000 and something subscribers. It's not that big. I'm not even big either. I only have 3,000 something subscribers. I'm not a big deal in the Halo community. More than half the people in that community probably don't even know who I am. But point is, why does anybody have to care about convincing you? I mean, you talk like you have some kind of authority, but you don't. You haven't presented any kind of logical points, you haven't presented any evidence or any actual solid arguments. All you've done is complain about people that you don't like in a very immature way. I don't see why you have any authority on this matter.
Just because you have the same take of a schizophrenic 65-year-old guy means that, oh, you think you're so special, and that everybody, like, shut up, like, you're so annoying, like.
Immature complaining.
Every time I go in these, like, Discord arguments or whatever, internet personas, whatever, people are always shoving that whole humans are forerunner in your face, and it's really annoying. Like, again, nobody cares.
Have you read your comments? Because, again, your comments seem to have quite a few people that do care about the lore of their video game. Have you looked at the internet? Because a lot of people on the internet are complaining about the lore in the video game. You seem to care enough to make this video complaining about people complaining. I think that to some degree, we all care about this topic. Oh, and it turns out you did read your comment section. And what a response you gave. When you realized that you were wrong, and people actually did care about the lore of their favorite franchises, instead of admitting that you were simply wrong, and trying to argue your way out of this civilly, you instead resorted to more immature complaining, and this time, straight up insulting people. Apparently anybody who disagrees with you and your take on lore in a franchise is just a pathetic individual. That's, yeah, very mature. I'm going to give you some very honest advice right now. You need to get off the internet. Because if you can't handle any pushback for the ridiculous things that you say, if you can't handle people disagreeing with the things you say, you should not be making videos like this.
You see, I've come to the gripes that video game lore changes for a reason, regardless if it's good or bad, okay?
Of course, everything happens for a reason. But does things happening for a reason immediately justify the fact that it happened? No. There being a reason for the retcon does not immediately make it a good reason, or it does not immediately justify the retcon and make it okay.
But that doesn't take away the fun and the immersion I have. If I'm playing Fallout, just for the sake of, like, roaming the wasteland, listening to good old 50s, 60s music, that's fine for me. But I'm not gonna give a shit if, Shady Sands gets nuked in, like, 10 years before or after New Vegas, or...
Woodsgump, are you the only person on planet Earth? Like, are you? Like, genuine question. Are you the only person that exists on planet Earth? No. No, you're not. Exactly. So, do you expect everything to cater to you? Why is your opinion the only one that seems to matter here? You basically said earlier that Bungie stands or whatever seem to think that they're so special. It seems to me you're the only one here who seems to think that they're special. If you don't care about lore, if you don't care about the story of a franchise, that is fine. Good for you, I guess. Most people do, though. Spoiler alert. Most people do care about the lore and the story of their beloved franchise. Because again, that's why the vast majority of people like the things that they like. It's because of the story. So most people are going to care about that.
How in Star Wars they changed the way the Force works because it's just such an abstract idea that George Lucas conceived, and then Dave Filoni took it upon himself. Yes, I will agree that the way they implemented the Force in the sequel trilogy is dumb, but again, that really doesn't cater too much to a whole fan base. It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, it's just still Star Wars.
No, it's not. That's the point. That's why everybody hates the sequels, because it is not, in fact, Star Wars. The sequels take everything special and cool about Star Wars and somehow find ways to make them stupid and like worse beyond imagination. The sequels are not actual good Star Wars. The sequels are not what Star Wars should be. You know what Disney did to Star Wars? Disney decanonized the original Star Wars and then started their own timeline full of mostly shit content so that they could make their own sequel trilogy, which was also shit content. It's not Star Wars. The sequels aren't Star Wars. The sequels are corporate slop Star Wars.
And same thing with, like Star Trek using pseudoscience to explain like how they get from one location to another with manipulating your particles, whatever. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to go into a rage mode or yell at the screen. I just wanted to bring them out of this discussion that, again, video game nerds take lores way too seriously, and you guys need to, like, chill out, okay? You really need to chill out because it's ridiculous to...
I refuse to be told to chill out by you when you straight up just talk condescendingly and insult people who, like, disagree with you and prove you wrong about things. You, again, need to just get off the internet. That is what's best for you, in my opinion, because you clearly cannot handle people that disagree with you.
See a bunch of, like, 36-year-old men who've grown up on Halo or whatever to be like, I'm actually the human dog forerunner because Marty said so, and what you believe is wrong. I'm mentally challenged. Like,
you need to chill out, dude.
Good lord, like, how many videos do we have to make to talk about this discussion? And do you think, like, it's funny at the end of the day that, like, when you go to bed, you're just like, you know what, I think I may be taking this lore thing way too seriously, like...
No, I'm pretty content with my worldview and my ideals and the things that I hold near and dear and what I think is important for storytelling and game development, and, I'm pretty confident in what I believe.
I don't know if it's me, but...
Truthfully, I think it is you.
I don't know if anybody has common rationality these days or has a brain or anything. Go outside, take a walk, just forget about video games for a moment, but it just seems like...
You'll see this trend a little bit more later, but this guy seems to believe that people who disagree with him and don't like 343 Halo and don't like the Forerunner retcons and all that stuff, he seems to believe that, like, everybody who has this opinion just doesn't go outside, is a no-lifer, is a pathetic individual, It's very strange, it's very condescending, and yet he's like trying to act like he's the reasonable one. This is not a reasonable take. This is a ridiculous thing to say.
These purist groups on the internet are just everywhere, and it's hard to, love the game, love the universe.
3 things. A, of course, there are, like, toxic groups of people everywhere. That's the internet. You just need to learn how to navigate that and find your group, your niche to stick around in where you feel the most comfortable and appreciated. But if you are going to do what you are doing right here and straight up challenge people with different opinions, you need to develop a thick hide. You cannot be very sensitive when you are just outright, like, insulting people and being condescending with your language. You cannot do this, post this video, and then do this after you learn that people disagree with you and you're actually wrong. That's not how you do that. B, again, like I told Ron in the last video, it's awfully telling when there's just so many people, when the community that disagrees with you is just so large and so hard to avoid. It's almost like there's a reason the majority of people don't like 343's Halo. And then yet again, finally, like I told Ron again in the last video, why is any of this affecting you? If other people don't like the things you like, why are you letting that affect your enjoyment of said thing? That's ridiculous. That's not my problem. I don't like what you like. That's my opinion. You're allowed to have yours, but you letting my opinion affect you and your enjoyment is stupid. Don't do that. Why is this my problem now?
But you always have these, like, idiotic Dumbo brains, like, thing 1, thing 2, just, like, shoving in your face or, like, just not getting along with you. Like, that doesn't mean that they're assholes. It's just, they're really annoying. That's besides the point.
It doesn't make them assholes. But I think they're all idiotic Dumbo brains, thing 1, thing 2. I think they're mentally challenged, and they agree with a schizophrenic 60-year-old man who thinks the world is after him. And they're all pathetic, and have no life, and they don't go outside. Good save, buddy. Good save.
Anyway, this is just a random video I wanted to make. Commentary, do you guys believe that video game lore is taken too seriously? Do you think it should be changed for the better or the worse? Do you think retcons are a leeway to not, like, really allow more people into the franchise, but, like, more simplified or more, I don't know, like, how to put it, because, again, it depends on what you perceive it.
Some retcons can be good. Of course, I'll never deny that. Not every retcon ever in the history of ever is a bad retcon. Sometimes things should be changed, but taking the Forerunners, for example, no. Nothing good came out of changing that. That didn't simplify the story in any way. That didn't make it more accessible to new fans. It just made it worse, in my opinion. It made the story worse off. And for something like the humans being Forerunner, the humans being Forerunner was not a narrative flaw at all, by the way, so the only retcons I could really see you making properly are retconning things that were once a narrative flaw and making them better. But the humans being Forerunner, that's not what that is. The humans being Forerunner didn't need to be simplified in any way. As a matter of fact, I would say the humans being Forerunner was the simplified version. Now 343 has retconned it and made it, like, ridiculously complicated. So, if anything, it's the other way around. But again, I'll get more into the Forerunner stuff and my thoughts on that in a later video that I have planned. That's a bit more professional than this. But overall, no. In relation to the Forerunners and Halo, there's no reason for this retcon.
I personally don't find the whole, like, humans aren't Forerunner too seriously. Like, I could care less. I'm more interested about, learning the Halo lore, the universe, the characters, anything. I don't care about this whole debacle of whether what you play as really matters to the game.
Okay, so you do care about Halo lore, but okay. What is this video? I am so lost. What are you trying to say anymore? Okay. What? What?
And this can be applied to Warhammer as well. Don't even get me started on Warhammer. There's a lot of stinking nerds who will argue about that freaking, universe for hours and hours on end. But yeah, that's about it for the video, guys. I just want to take the moment and get my thoughts, my rationality to this whole lore subject debate. And I honestly believe that it's just ridiculous. Again, at the end of the day, it's just video games. Who cares about it? Who cares about the lore? If you're wrong and you're right, everybody has their takes on video games. And with that, I'll leave you guys over there. Like, comment, subscribe for more commentaries. Let me know what you think about the topic below in the video, and I'll see you guys out. This has been Woodsgump. Peace.
It's just video games is such a cop-out argument to me, because yeah, obviously it is just video games, but people still care about video games. We care about our entertainment. We want our entertainment to be good. It's like, sure, I guess video games are less important than real life, but that doesn't make them unimportant. We still care because we still love these things. We have attachments and memories connected to these things that make us feel good. We love these things. We love video games. I mean, why do we care about anything? Let's do that. Why do we care about anything? Somebody was holding the door open for me, and then they slammed it in my face. Why do I care? I can just open the door myself and walk into the room. Well, I care because that was disrespectful. Holding the door open for somebody is a respectful gesture. It's a kind gesture, and it's relatively expected among people in a civilized society. So doing that and slamming the door in my face was a rude and disrespectful gesture. Us being human beings, we value kind and respectful gestures. So yeah, I care about that, even though ultimately that means nothing, and I will continue living on with my life and going on about my day with very little change at all. Why do we care about video games? Because video games bring us joy. We love the stories told in video games. So when those stories are tampered with, people care, obviously, because people grow attachment to these things that they care about so much. Stories are important to the human race. The human race cares a lot about stories and storytelling. So naturally, when those stories that we care about are tampered with in ways that we think are awful and stupid and unnecessary, or in ways that we think devalue the original purpose of the story, of course, we are going to be upset about that. Why do we care about anything, though? But this isn't all. We're almost done here, but I just wanted to showcase something else too, so let's go to another video of his, and I will show you why I find this guy to be very frustrating.
Final point I wanted to get in this video is I don't like the Halo community. This one is just a weird misinterpretation, misleading thing, because I honestly don't really hate anybody, to be honest.
It is very hard for you to say this convincingly, and I'm not going to act like I know, your personal feelings or your opinions or whatever, because I don't know who you are, but it is very hard for you to say this and convince really anybody that you are being honest when you just go back and watch that last video that I just responded to. Maybe you don't hate a certain group in the Halo community, but you very clearly do not like them. That's all I'll say. You very clearly are not chill with them.
I just hate everybody being so negative, so doom and gloom, so pessimistic, because one thing you gotta understand is not all of your life is gonna be consumed at a screen or like a video game. It's gonna be outside, it's gonna be with your friends, your family. It's honestly gonna just be a lot more than that. And honestly, I think the bad side of the Halo community doesn't understand that.
See, here it is again. If they disagree with me, therefore they have no life, therefore they don't know what the meaning of life is, therefore they don't go outside, they're stinky nerds. It's so condescending when he says stuff like this. And I know that he says things like, oh, the toxic side of the Halo community, but when you actually listen to him talk, he very clearly is talking about the people that just disagree with him. That comment under the last video makes it so abundantly clear that he just does not like people disagreeing with him. And again, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know the guy personally, but he is doing a very bad job of, like, differentiating between the two groups of people, because obviously there are toxic people, there are grifters, but not everybody who disagrees with you is a toxic grifter. And for some reason, he seems to treat and talk about everybody that disagrees with him as if they are said toxic grifter.
As much as I want to go like into like a 5-minute rant on them, I'm honestly not just gonna give them that clout, because I've already been past that phase of my life, you know, just being so done and upset. I think it's just astounding that the people who whine and complain about like the games and not providing actual feedback, and instead just grifting for the sake of grifting, you know, for like bandwagons, and not even just, it's like ad hominem, you know, sense like, oh, they suck because this person is, you know, like gay or something like that. Like, it's just I don't know, it's like, don't even bother with these people.
Obviously, again, you know, grifters, toxic people, and communities do exist. That's all very real. It is all very rampant, of course. But the problem is, there is a lot of solid feedback that is thrown 343's way. And the people that, like, just love and support these games so much don't actually seem to appreciate that feedback. People always say, oh, you need to give actual good feedback. You don't need to stop complaining so much. Just be critical, give good feedback. But then when people do that, they don't like it anyway. And that's part of the problem. It's like some of these guys expect some Halo fans, after 14 years of failure for the franchise, they expect so many Halo fans to just, like, convey their problems, like, oh, 343, we know you're trying your hardest, we know you care so much, but please listen to my criticisms this time, please, you know, like, I no, people are done acting like that. People have given 343 credit, I mean, not credit, people have given 343 feedback in the past, and they outright ignored a lot of it.
Especially if these people are like so jealous of like other games having success than Halo. Honestly, that's just another thing. Like, don't compare two games or two things, because it's the thievery of joy, as Teddy Roosevelt once said. It's just like,
absolutely not. No, I am absolutely going to compare Halo and its current state and 343 as a developer, as an industry, to other games and other developers that are doing way better. Why? Because we need to look at 343, say, what are they doing wrong? What is 343 and Microsoft doing wrong? And then look at these other developers that are doing everything much better than they are, and say, what are they doing right? And how can we apply this to 343 and Microsoft? Where is the problem here? We need to take the bad game and compare it to the good game to prove why it is bad, actually.
nobody can understand the mental and like amount of energy you have to put into hating something rather than liking it. Because if you hate something, it's really easy to get into it, because everybody does it a lot of the time, but it's also really soul draining and mental draining as well. So yeah, that's honestly it.
Yeah, you are totally right. Hating things can be pretty soul draining, but so can sticking with things and watching it continue to crash and burn. Do you have any idea how soul draining it has been for the past few years to sit back and have hope for Star Wars that maybe it would get better, but it only just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it just keeps on crashing down and down and down, and you try to cope. You try to cope and say, no, actually, this was pretty good. This wasn't that bad. You try to cope so hard. You try so hard to pretend that things are not as bad as they are, and it doesn't work. Same for Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who. Doctor Who sucks now, unfortunately. I used to cope so hard saying, maybe there's still a chance. Maybe there is just an opportunity that it could get better. But no. No, it's not getting better until a lot of things change. That is how it just is. There was obviously a change at Lucasfilm. Dave Filoni is now in charge. Everybody's saying, oh, Star Wars is safe. I don't like Dave Filoni very much. I don't think he's a good storyteller or writer. I don't think Star Wars is saved. So unfortunately, yeah, I don't think so. I'm not going to get excited yet for Star Wars. But this is why a lot of people don't care anymore. A lot of people are done with these franchises. This is why, you know, people talk shit about, like, Halo Campaign Evolved. Oh, if you don't like it, just don't play it. Yeah, we weren't planning to, really. Like, at this point, when people look back at a thing like Halo and hate on it, they just look back on it and, like, laugh at it nowadays. That's kind of what it's become. It's become less of grieving and more of finding humor in the death. Like, people kind of just laugh at 343 nowadays. That's all you really can do. Like, we have all come to terms with the fact that as long as 343 is in charge and as long as Microsoft is doing whatever they're doing, Halo is not ever going to be what it once was. Everybody knows that. Everybody understands that. We've all come to terms with this fact of life. So I wouldn't say it's exactly soul-draining anymore. But yet again, there is more I want to just show you guys, because it does matter to me. It does showcase just a big problem that I have with not only this guy, but a lot of people who think like him.
See, this video was originally going to be a rant video. Again, I was going to speak up about the bad eggs within the gaming community, especially the pretentious assholes that think they know better than anybody, or millennials in their 30s and 40s, depressed and pathetic with their lives because their once so-called gaming franchise is now not as peak or golden anymore.
More insults, because why not, I guess.
Which leads me to say, stop dwelling in the past.
Oh, there we go. He said it. Let's see what he says.
You see, I once had a similar feeling. A couple of years ago, I did an experiment where I only played the original Halo games and not anything like Halo 2 Anniversary Multiplayer or Halo 4. Only to find out this shit is toxic and bad. What? Like, what the hell? It doesn't help that I've seen people on YouTube or Discord gatekeeping for newcomers who want to try it. Which, by the way, if you ever do that, you're an absolute heretic. Stop trying to bar the integrity of the franchise and think you can give an echo chamber. It's not fair and it doesn't work like that. Let me give you an example of the common resentment for those historians out there. The Roman Empire was considered one of the greatest civilizations on the earth. It lasted for centuries, and when Caesar took control, he turned it from a republic into a tyrannical rule over most of Europe and some parts of Africa. To refer to what my friend said, nothing is forever. Sure, there was the Pax Romana, which means Roman peace, but by the time the empire collapsed, the infrastructure changed. Times changed. Anything gold cannot be preserved for that specific amount of time. Why am I bringing this up? Because I think it's ridiculous and absurd that video game nerds, of all people, have nothing to do but doom and gloom to worry about this shit.
It's amazing how he automatically assumes that if you doom and gloom, that if you're unhappy with the current state of this franchise, and if you're going to complain about it online, then you must have nothing else at all going on in your life. I have other things in my life that I like to do. I do other things besides just bitch about Halo. Me bitching about Halo does not mean I'm a lifeless loser that can't do anything else and spend my time on anything else. I do spend other parts of my day doing things that I deem more important. This is a wild and yet again condescending assumption coming from him.
Let me give you a piece of advice. Move on and accept the future. The future can be a scary concept, and time is yet again our worst enemy.
Like I said before, many of us have accepted the future. We have accepted the fact that Halo is just not good anymore. Halo isn't Halo anymore. Star Wars isn't Star Wars anymore. Doctor Who isn't Doctor Who anymore. A lot of the things that we like are just shit now, and we've accepted that. We've come to terms with that. Doesn't mean we're not allowed to complain about it. Doesn't mean we're not allowed to make fun of it.
The gaming industry has definitely changed, and what seems like they are losing hope and faith, they have ruined their expectations.
So we have ruined our expectations by comparing the new thing that is bad to the old thing that was actually good. and saying, why isn't this new thing not even as good, but like almost, kind of, sort of as good? Like, I am not asking for perfection. I am just asking for a actual functional game that is complete on launch, that gets all the updates it should get, that doesn't have an ugly art style, that has an actual good story, that doesn't ask egregious prices for mid-cosmetics. Like, I don't know, man. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation from a video game. Why are we so comfortable with accepting bad products nowadays? It's like, it's just normal. We're normalizing accepting slop, accepting dumb shit.
You ever wonder why I don't make like 10 million videos about why Halo is garbage now? It's because I have a cautiously optimistic view in life.
I did not like Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, nor did I like Godzilla vs. Kong. I do not like Adam Wingard's direction for the Monsterverse. So, when the Monsterverse revealed that it was, not going to have Adam Wingard as the director for the next movie, I felt good about that because the problem in my eyes had been removed. Now we have a new director and things are looking strange, kind of interesting. I don't know. It's whatever. We'll see how it is. I am cautiously optimistic about this next Monsterverse movie because apparently this new director, he's got a decent like movie or two on his portfolio, you know? So it's like there's some reason to be interested, right? When it comes to Halo though, what reason is there to be cautiously optimistic? I mean, what good signs are there? Like all the good signs that I've been told to look out for are not there. All this amazing stuff within Campaign Evolved is not actually so amazing. I am cautiously optimistic when something deserves that optimism. Halo does not currently deserve that optimism. There needs to be a lot more changes done before I will actually be optimistic in any way about Halo again.
It's like Star Wars. What people consider the peak years of it from 1977 to 2012, when Lucas sold the franchise to Disney. Like, yeah, sure, I don't like the sequels, but I don't go around and trashing it as my personality and tell newcomers to avoid them. No, never. Absolutely. It's just barbaric, which describes these negative and pessimistic Halo fans with the community. The past can only be a limit, and our brains can only so much handle. Nostalgia is like one hell of a drug, but be careful because too much of it can damage your perception, your happiness, and how you live.
There it is right there. Nostalgia. Okay, let's talk about nostalgia for a second. Obviously, nostalgia runs rampant, especially in a day and age like this where it just feels like so many things go wrong all the time, all at once, right? It's natural to look longingly to the past for a better day where you are more happy and more comfortable. But using nostalgia as an excuse like this is really dumb, and yet again, just another cop-out argument. No, I am not upset with Halo currently because of nostalgia. I have barely any nostalgia for Halo. I didn't grow up playing Halo. Like, the first Halo game I ever played was Reach back in middle school, but I didn't even own the game. It was just us playing on my friend's Xbox, and, like, I didn't grow a big attachment to Halo. I knew what Halo was, and I checked out some of, like, the movies like Forward Unto Dawn and the Fall of Reach movie and stuff like that. Halo Legends, too. But, like, I never had a fond attachment for it. A few years ago, I got into Halo, after, like during or after the lock-in, and I enjoyed all the games, but then the more and more I think about this stuff critically, the more and more I see 343 in action, the more and more I realize, using my critical thinking skills, that 343 is not a good or competent studio. And a lot of the aspects of their games are not good at all. People are not upset with 343 because of nostalgia blinding them. No, they are upset with 343 because they are a bad studio. It is as simple as that. People notice the flaws, and they're smart enough to recognize them.
That's why I do not take sides with neither Bungie nor Halo Studios, because there is no benefit from doing so. It's a double-edged sword, and it will only lead to both sides shooting themselves in the foot because they can't get along. I mean, if you think about it, like, if you grew up on the games now as an adult like I am in my 20s, you'll probably have a much more better view on the franchise than, say, if you were like a 90s kid who grew up on video games.
Not everybody who sees the flaws in Halo currently is on the side of Bungie or whatever. Like, not everybody's on a side. A lot of people are on the side of old Bungie games were better, yeah, but like, that's because they were. They were better than the new games. They absolutely 100% were. I plan on making like more in-depth reviews about each and every Halo game sometime in the future. So, you know, I'll leave all of that nonsense for those videos, but no, they absolutely were better than what we have currently. But even if they were better, I can still find flaws within the Bungie games too, right? They're not perfect, nothing's perfect, but there is no hiding from the fact that the 343 games are simply worse than the Bungie games. And it's not worse by a little, it's worse by a lot. That is why people are so upset, because it should not be as bad as it is, yet people, like you, want to lower our expectations. For some reason, people like you seem to think that all we should do is accept the fact that everything is bad now and just lap up whatever dog piss there is on the floor to lap up. No, that's not how people operate. People are not just going to accept these kinds of things so easily, because again, we are passionate about these games and these movies and these series. And again, it is not just nostalgia, because you said at the end there that you think people that, you know, get into these games and grow up with these games now would have a better view of the franchise. I am living proof that no. Like, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who are just recently getting into Halo that are, you know, more excited and rose-tinted glasses about it, but I am living proof that even somebody that gets into a franchise later can see, like, how bad off it is. I recently got into Terminator, and I so clearly saw how bad the newer movies are. It is not hard to see how god-awful the newer movies are compared to the old ones. Terminator 1 and 2 were absolutely just beautiful movies. I haven't seen 3 yet. Salvation was alright, it was not bad, it was okay. Genesis was bad, but it was like a funny kind of bad. But Dark Fate was, oh my god, I wanted to kill myself while watching that movie. I'm not even gonna lie. I wanted to shoot myself while watching that. That was, oh my god. I wanted to find some, like, slow and painful, self-inflicted torture method. That's actually what watching Dark Fate is. It's a dark fate for anybody who watches it. Oh my god. Anyway, this video isn't about Terminator Dark Fate. Oh my god, that movie just pisses me off. I'm sorry. But, yeah, this movie isn't about Dark Fate. I mean, oh my god. See what Dark Fate does to you? This video is not about Dark Fate. It's not about Terminator. Point is, it is, like, getting into a franchise recently does not automatically mean that you're always going to have rose-tinted glasses. People can still use their critical thinking skills and come to conclusions. I used to think that 343 was actually not that bad, and they were, you know, a good and competent studio. But then I started actually using my brain, and I realized, hey, you know, there are a lot of flaws here, and people need to start actually calling them out more on them. Like, we aren't doing that enough, surprisingly. And even if you point out objective major flaws, you know, it's like we have every reason to be upset. People have every single reason to complain. People have every single reason to want things to be better. So I don't know why you are sitting here telling me to lower my expectations, to stop wanting my stories to be as good as they possibly can. We should not strive for mediocrity. We should strive for more than that. We should strive for far more than that. I mean, obviously, if you like the 343 games, that's fine, of course. Like, different people can love and enjoy different things. Even if I think you're wrong, even if I think that the story you like is objectively bad, you know, we all have our own opinions, man. Like, that's fine. But don't tell me and anybody else that I only feel the way I do because of nostalgia. That is such a cop-out. That is so, like, that is stupid. Don't say stuff like that, because that is stupid. I feel the way I feel because I am a intelligent mammal, and I have a working brain, and I can, you know, use my critical thinking skills, and my critical thinking skills have led me a certain direction in life, And this is the spot that I have found myself in. And I am confident in my opinions, in my mindset, in my thoughts and feelings towards certain things like Halo, for example, or Star Wars, or Terminator, or Doctor Who, or whatever else you want to say. Do not act like every single person that complains about the current state of Halo, or every person that disagrees with you passionately, is just a pathetic, no-life individual that doesn't ever go outside. Don't do that, because that is just you being an asshole. I'm being entirely honest. That is just you being an asshole. It's like in your videos, you talk and you want to clearly sound like a professional and positive and mature and, you know, I guess, what's the word, reasonable human being, but you stop sounding that way as soon as you start slipping those little condescending comments and insults in there with whatever point you're trying to make. Because you know how that feels to me when you talk with this, you know, mature and reasonable voice, but meanwhile the things you say don't match up with it? It comes off as deceptive. It comes off as you are trying to paint this mask and put on this certain face and act a certain way and say certain things as to not, you know, piss off a bunch of people. But meanwhile, in reality, what you really feel is like this video right here, where you kind of just lost that mask and just went on a tangent. Now, I'm not saying that's true, but that's how you make yourself look. And you know, when I really got into YouTube, one of the things that I decided to live by with my channel was the fact that so many people, too many people on YouTube nowadays are content creators. I don't want to be a content creator. I do not want to be a YouTuber, right? I want to be a guy with a channel and with editing equipment and software and stuff, and I want to make videos that I am passionate about. I do not want to be fully business-minded, because what's the point, right? If I'm not truly being myself, if I'm not truly enjoying the things that I'm doing, what's even the point, right? If I'm not being honest with you guys, my audience that trusts me to give them valid information and trusts me when I'm wrong, to fess up about being wrong. And I have made sure to try and do that. I've made sure to source information for you guys, show you guys where I get my info from. I've made sure to, you know, come out when I'm wrong about something, like either in the comments say, okay, that's fair, or, you know, in like a follow-up video say, I was wrong about this, or whatever, right? I think I've tried to do that pretty well. But that is what I live by. I live on YouTube by the idea that the last thing we need is more dishonesty. I do not like the fact that that is the feeling I get from you. Again, I am not trying to say that that is what you are, because I don't know you as a person. I've never met you before. I've never conversed with you. But that is how it comes off. So please make sure you are being honest, not only with yourself, but with your audience too. And like, finally, the reason I even responded to this guy at all is because this right here, all of this stuff that we have talked about today in this video, this is the kind of stuff I see so often from the toxic positive side of the Halo community. This right here is, I think, the perfect embodiment of all that. These videos that we just watched right now, I think that is like the perfect embodiment of the thing I dislike most, and the thing that gets under my skin the most. I think this kind of stuff needs to be put out there more, and again, not like quote-unquote exposed more, but we need to shine some light on stuff like this, because this is toxic. This is condescending. It is insulting. It is toxic. This is toxicity, whether you like it or not. It absolutely is. And for some reason, not a lot of people like to admit that, but that's just the way it is. Hate to break it to you. Anyway, that is all I've got for today. I think that's enough responding about Halo stuff for one day. So, if you agree, then please like the video, hype it up, whatever that does. Comment, you know, share your thoughts. If you disagree, I don't know, dislike the video, I guess. comment, state your thoughts. I don't know, maybe you can be a bit more reasonable than this guy was being in his videos. Woodsgump, if you're watching this, again, just take all the words that I have said into account. I don't want to immediately assume that you are a, like, you know, dishonest human being. I don't want to immediately assume that, but that's the way that you present yourself, by the way you talk and the way that you do these things on some of these videos of yours. Like, take all of this that I have given you, all this information, all this criticism, all this complaining that I have given you, take it into account the next time you talk about stuff like this, okay? Take it into account. But yeah, I mean, and then if you're a returning viewer, you know, thanks for watching, you know? I appreciate you guys for sticking around and being here. And then if you're a new viewer, if this is the first video of mine that you've ever seen, you would probably like, well, I mean, if you agree with me, that is, you would probably like this video right here. Well, where I respond to not just one guy, but multiple, very many guys, a lot of dudes. I talk to and about a lot of dudes, a lot of men, a lot of sweaty, nerdy men that talk about Halo. Moving on. I don't know how to end this video. It's, you know, so I'm gonna go now. Bye guys. Love you.